Your sister was married to Eddie for what, 20 years?
Just a little over 20 years, yes.
So, I mean, tell me, what was that like?
It was pretty cool, to be honest with you. Um, he was an amazing, amazing person. Just a wonderful, caring soul. A little tough for us all right now, but it was amazing. He was a wonderful person. And people have this, I guess, vision of him as being this great guitarist, which he is. But what I knew of him, he was just a huge, caring person.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about that. Just obviously, people knew him as a guitarist, but what was his personality like? Was he funny? Was he.
He was funny. We did a lot of things together as a family. We used to play volleyball on the beach. We've ridden motorcycles together. A lot of great times riding motorcycles, street bikes for the most part. He was into fast cars and fast motorcycles, which worked out pretty well for my brother and myself. But he was just great fun to be around. I was fortunate enough to spend some time traveling with the band and doing some pictures and just to get to basically hang out. And he was always very, very accommodating when I asked for a picture or, hey, Ed, let's do this. This looks really cool. And he would do it, whether it was a picture of him in front of one of his cars or backstage or at 5150 recording studios. He was always very, very accommodating to help out in that sense. And so the last time I saw Ed was on the 2015 tour when we went down to Auburn Hills and saw him down there. And was fortunate enough to take my wife, my son, and they got to meet him and spend some time backstage. And again, it was just really, really wonderful time.
That's awesome. And have you talked to your sister? How is she doing? How's your nephew?
I talked to Wolfie yesterday, right after Ed passed away, and he was pretty broken up. My sister was too. She was there, and I talked to my younger brother, who happened to be at the hospital also. And a comforting moment was that Ed saw Wolfie. He was the last person he saw was Wolfie before he went to sleep that night, and then unfortunately passed away yesterday morning. So last person Ed saw was his son, who he actually absolutely adored. It was to know that was comforting. But I talked to Wolfie briefly. He was obviously pretty upset because he and his father were very, very tight. Ed was very proud of Wolf as he's continued to move forward in his music, and his new album is finished. It just needs to come out. But I mean, Ed was very, very supportive. Obviously, as Wolfie became his own person, his own musician, his own man, and so it was pretty amazing to see the bond they had between the two of them.
And are there any talks of any funeral arrangements, do you know, or memorial services?
Yeah, there'll be a funeral here. I'm not sure when, but it'll be in a few weeks. It'll be cremated, so it'll be out in Los Angeles. I'll fly out and be there and support, Val and support Wolf and just be there because we are still a family. Val and Ed were still very close even after the divorce, and they were able to stay together as a family in that sense for Wolfie's just to help him get through everything. And so it's nice that Ed and Val were still very close and friends basically even after the divorce and everything. So that's all good, and it's real tough in the family right now.
Just radio stations playing Van Halen all morning long. It's bittersweet, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Listening to it here at work and to hearing all the different songs bring back a lot of different memories as far as, a lot of these songs have different meaning for me because of different situations or environments we heard the songs or I heard the songs and stuff. And one of the fun memories I have of Ed is when I used to be out in California, I'd crash at their house every now and then and sleep on the couch, and Ed sometimes would sit in the same living room where the couch was, where I was trying to get some sleep, and he'd be back there playing on his guitar, working on a riff, and continually on and on and on, and trying to get some sleep, and to hear the song or this riff going over and over and over and over and over. He was just such a perfectionist, wanting to get it perfect, and I can remember sometimes it's just like, oh, come on, man, let me just get some sleep, but he would sit there and play. And so the fact that he had the recording studio at the house was, a really wonderful thing because he spent a lot of time there, obviously, and working on songs and working on the albums, and to be around that was pretty darn cool.
And then you would hear those riffs later on the radio being like number
Yeah.
one, right?
Yeah, or they'd be incorporated into a song which suddenly was on an album and stuff like that, you know. So it is pretty neat to be able to be exposed to that and be around that. We'll always listen to his music. We have that to get us through this and from here on out. And I just want people to know that he was a wonderful person and always accommodating and loved making music, and the fact that the fans got to enjoy out of it and loved it was made it even more special for him. So, you know, it's pretty neat.